Here's kind of where I want to have a little conversation with you, Ryan. I was checking out Corey Snazanders. I don't really know how to pronounce his last name, but he's his like 3 zone project is amazing. He tracks sort of micro stats and has some really cool stuff on Tableau. He has a Patreon if you want to get really deep into it, like I do. But he kind of took a look at teams who are either rush offense teams or heavy forecheck teams. And it was sort of interesting because the Bruins were neither. They weren't really successful at lots of carry-ins. They weren't really successful at dumping the puck in and having lots of recoveries. When you look at teams on the chart, you'll see teams like the Islanders and actually Tampa Bay as well. They're really heavy on the forecheck. They get the puck in really deep quite a bit. There's a number of other teams on the other side of the spectrum who they carry the puck. That's what they do, and they're successful at it. The Bruins, like I said, aren't really doing a ton of either. So I'm asking you, like those teams, they have identities, right? This is how we play. Are the Bruins having a little bit of an identity crisis in terms of how they want to generate their chances, how they want to play offense?
I think it could be. I mean, historically, I feel like they've been a team that's been fairly aggressive on the forecheck, but I would agree with you that I haven't seen it lately. The only player I've really noticed on the forecheck is actually Nick Ritchie, who doesn't have the feet to get there, but when he does, he somehow ends up with the puck. But when he does, he usually doesn't have any support. He's just kind of sitting there and like in the zone all alone, waiting for somebody to come to give the puck to.
Yeah, same with the Craig Smith, who I feel like has been barreling in like a bat out of hell and kind of gets there, it sort of creates something sort of, but then the other team still finds a way to sort of move the puck. I do feel like the forecheck was something they were doing much better in that first 10, 12 games of the season. And lately they've been sort of struggling with, and in turn they haven't necessarily been able to carry in a whole lot. And I'm showing you the chart here, Ryan. You can see like there's some teams that lack a little bit of identity in that, like for example the Pittsburgh Penguins, but their numbers are very good at both. They're slightly above average in their forechecking percentages. They're right around average in their rush percentages, so they're decent. The Bruins are below average in both of those. And you can see the successful teams are the ones that have their identity or are pretty good at picking their spots on both. So, what do you think needs to happen here?
I don't know. I think they just need to start getting a little more aggressive on it. I think there's a chance that, maybe with the issues on defense at the moment, they're playing a little conservatively because they don't trust it. They don't want to get caught up ice, so they're not really sending anybody. They're just kind of hanging out in the neutral zone, and I think they need to keep sending one guy hard and maybe a second guy kind of in the middle in the slot area as backup, and force the other team to start making some mistakes, because it's not really anything that they're doing right now, and they're not getting very good offensive pressure. So I think if they can do that, get the other team back on their heels a little bit, then they might start getting some more results.
Yeah, agreed. I'm curious how they adjust. They're actually play a fairly aggressive forechecking scheme, kind of with 2 guys in, and they actually allow that third safety valve guy to dive in deep as soon as they think there's a little bit of an even chance of a turnover. And then they've also allowed their D to pinch pretty hard down the wings, although they've been a little more patient with that, given some of the mistakes and pinches earlier in the season. So that's a place where you might be right. They've sort of said, we can't keep giving this up. Let's be more conservative here. But I think, they need to find their identity. Teams with their identities tend to be the most successful. So I just thought that was an interesting point, and one that we'll keep track of for our listeners and update them and see how maybe when the personnel returns, maybe that will sort of magically improve. Maybe that's a huge part of the issue.